Hi guys. So today we'll talk about difference in education between Germany and US. So a lot of students in past used to go to US, but there are some very clear advantages if you go and study in Germany for your masters or for your higher studies. Now we'll talk about 10 points, and these are something which you should just keep in mind while you are applying for different universities. So point number one is that higher education in US is a business, it's an industry. So a lot of these universities have to make money, and therefore they will ask you to pay a very high fees in most cases. And if the inflation, which is how much things get expensive over a period of time, if you take an inflation rate of 3 to 4%, every year the education in the US has gone up. Whereas if you compare to Germany, education is really cheap because it's mostly state funded, and in some sense it's a compulsion of the state. The state has a compulsion because of aging population. They want their people, their population, whether it is local population or whether it is immigrant population, they want them to be well educated, because unlike US, Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, these are smaller countries with larger economies, so they need very highly educated people. Unlike in the US, where you have very highly educated people, medium educated people, and then also a lot of labor or low educated people. So that is number one. So higher education in the States is more of a business, whereas it's not that much in Germany. Now point number two is that the rating is reversed. So for example, in Germany, the rating given to students is 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So 1 is better than 3, unlike in US or in India, where it is the other way around. This is a minor difference, but a lot of people get confused. They think that if they have scored 1 in Germany, it is better than scoring 3 in Germany, which is not true. And sometimes it makes it difficult for you to convert your undergrad or your K to 12 grade into a German grade, because the German grades are just the reverse. Then when it comes to exchange programs, there is a program called Erasmus in Europe, where they subsidize even for non-EU students. If you, let's say, go to University of whatever, Dusseldorf, then you will be given some money to go to, let's say, to Estonia for 1 semester to study. So this is not available when you think about US. So German government is paying you money to go to a different country while you are doing your masters. So that is pretty unique, because you get a different experience, not just the experience of Germany if you go there to study for 2 or 3 years or something like that. And when it comes to point number 4, it is that German universities are more focused on raw, hard skills. So for example, when it comes to science, technology, law, that is given more importance. Whereas if you go to US, it's a lot more about business, marketing, even technology marketing. If that is your focus, then you should look at the American universities and not the German universities. German universities are very much about very, very detailed understanding of a very narrow specific topic. So for example, if you want to become a civil engineer, then it's good to go to Germany. So that's point number 4. And point number 5 is this concept of English versus German. In employment in Germany, you would definitely need German. Also for the social environment, you would need German. However, for your studies now, even PhDs even for research, English is being used. So if you go on internet and search what kind of papers, research papers these German universities are producing in field of science and technology, especially, lot of it is in English and not in German, and that helps you a lot if you have to become a scientist or if you have to pursue a very technical, deep technical field. You can survive if you have the right skills even in English, but your scope will be very limited. So you can take benefit of this internationalization when it comes to education. So point number 6, and this is something which I have been giving guidance to a lot of students, but it's just something which people don't understand. Let me try it. PhD in US involves you giving exams like GRE or even university exams. However, in Germany, getting into a PhD is much easier because all what you need is a professor. You need a professor who could sign up for you. Becoming a professor now, that just coming point number 7, US has more opportunity if you want to become a professor, because US typically, if you want to become a tenured professor, then 5 to 6 years writing good research, you can end up there. Whereas in Germany, it's very seniority based. So until and unless the senior professors get retired, you will not be able to get a position in a very stable professorship or a tenured professorship, and so on. Okay guys, so point number 8 is about being expensive. Not just for the tuition fees, but also American cities, especially the big ones, are much more expensive than Germany. In Germany, you can expect, if you want to live a very simple life, you can expect to spend as a student about 600 to 700 euros a month. But in US, those expenses are going to be much higher. Point number 9, which is very important, I would say that this is the most important point, and I would highly suggest pick up a pen and paper and write this, because this is going to be the most important point you will take away from this video. And the point is that you must consider employability and your work visa situation afterwards. What happens in German universities is that they do not care if you finish your program in 2 years or 3 years. So a lot of students who do not get a proper job during their master's study, they would postpone their education in Germany. But in US, as soon as you finish your master's or whatever education, you are always in a rush to find a job. If you don't find a job, you are out of US. So from a work visa perspective, Germany is much more relaxed. If you have studied in Germany, it's slower. You get more time to look for a job. This is the most important point. You will not realize it while you're applying, but you will realize it once you start to graduate. And the final point is that in US, brand of the university is very important. For example, if you have studied in Yale versus and Columbia versus some state university, it's a big thing. If you study in Ivy League in US, it's a big thing. Whereas in Germany, the university brand does not have that much of an importance. What is important is your skill set. What is important is what kind of graduation have you done, what is your field of study, whether you have done a PhD or not. So those are the things which are more important. Whether you have studied at University of Berlin or University of Hamburg does not have that big of an impact. So the brand of the school does not matter much in Germany. language, speaking their language is something super important if you want to get a proper job. So those are the 10 points you need to keep in mind when you're comparing US studies, higher studies versus Germany. Alright guys, if you have any comments, any feedback, any questions, just let me know. Alright, thank you. Have a good one.